Good. Okay, so we'll start the meeting and call the meeting to order. We don't have any alternates. Are there any additional changes to the agenda? I noticed there were quite a few messages that were recently sent. Were there any changes to the agenda? Okay, good.
No new business.
Okay. So let's skip Jim Blair because he won't be here till 7:30 and go to item 5.1, the second one. Let's see. The application of Christian Grasso to build a driveway through approximately 1,600 square feet of wetlands adjacent to 92 Pine Street, Assessor's Map 034, Lot 020A in the RA zone. John or Isabel, would you fill us in on that a little bit?
So I believe there was a supplementary email that got sent out. Christian would like to make some plans, changes to his plan for where he would like the driveway, which since he's in the call, we'll have him maybe say a little bit about. Ultimately, it still crosses wetlands and a water course. So I think it's something that we're gonna wanna do another site walk for. So we could schedule that for later this month. And I requested an extension to continue reviewing the application for another 65 days. So we don't have to vote on it today. And the Grassos granted that request or granted that extension. So Christian, if you're there and you can hear me, do you want to talk a little bit about the change to the plan that you're making and the new location that you'd like to put the driveway in?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All righty. Yeah, so originally we have two frontages to this property, and we originally wanted to go through the northern frontage, which abutted 92 Pine. The ultimate length of that driveway was expected to be over 1,000 feet. The new entrance would hopefully be on the southern road frontage section, which abuts 94 Pine. It's about 400, it'd be about a 400-foot shorter driveway. So really the main reason for changing the location is just to keep the cost down. So yeah. And I believe it crosses, I mean, I'm going off of the wetlands mapping, which, as Mr. Valenti's filled me in, is not always entirely accurate, but it does appear that I'd be crossing slightly less wetlands. We have called, I believe my dad made a call already several weeks ago to Mr. Wentworth to conduct a soil survey. We're still waiting for that to be completed. It should be soon, because it was about 3 weeks ago. We called 2-3 weeks ago. So yeah, if there's any other questions, but.
And I'd just add that I did go out to the site to look at the new location with John, and I'd agree, it looks like less wetlands. We'll see what Wentworth flags when he comes out to do the delineation. There is still a water course in the area that leads to a nearby pond. So that's pretty similar to the other side, but the wetlands themselves are a little bit shorter and it gets out of it quicker. And the new path also avoids the two ponds that the original road was going to go between. So this is, I would say it's pretty comparable, and I can certainly see the the cost issue with the initial driveway crossing. So I think when we get a chance to go out there and do a site walk, you'll have a better understanding of the new location.
Yeah, we've already flagged where we plan to have the driveway go as well, so it's a little easier than just me pointing a finger and saying here, here, there, and there. It's more of a straight up shot for the driveway as opposed to a lot of zigzagging. So, but ultimately it should be a lot cheaper, especially with the prices of electric and all the other things that are going to have to be done to it. So.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I think what we ought to do is wait till we get through with some of the other applications here, and then we can get it, any site walks we can do together. So we'll set a date for that after we go through some of these other applications.
Okay.
You have to move on the 65-day extension, John? You have to make a motion for that to grant?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion, the 55-day extension?
I'll make it.
Okay,
Second,
all those in, somebody second?
Yes, Mary.
yep.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
So moved, thank you. Okay, very good. Okay, let's go to item 5.2. IWWC 2122 -09, the application of Manuel Correa, Correa, to construct a single-family home, well, septic, and lawn within 100 feet of wetlands, and to fill 400 cubic feet of square feet, I'm sorry, of wetlands at 8 Baker Hill Road. Isabel or John, you want to give us a little bit of background on that application?
So 8 Baker Hill Road, we had a site walk earlier this month. I believe John Allen was there, Mary Roykel, Ian and Ron were both there as well. The area that they are looking to fill in, there are 2 smaller areas that are triangular. If you're looking at the plan, they're about 400 square feet total. And those are extremely degraded to the point where when we're standing in the field, it's very difficult to even tell that there are wetlands in the area. The reason that they were primarily noticed was because the Koreas did have a soil scientist come out and flag all of the wetlands in the area. And then the location towards the back of the property that they're looking to fill in was a suggestion by John and myself based on safety concerns, just so that if they need to get an emergency vehicle or something of the sort to the back of their property, regular enjoyment of their property, if they need to do maintenance, things like that, it gives them an access to the back of their property where they can bring a truck or whatever they need to without A, sinking into the wetlands, and B, having no idea of where the wetlands are and just going in and further degrading them. In this area, they are, like I said, already pretty degraded. So we were standing in the wetlands at the site walk, and we were really only able to tell that based on the map, not based on the field. But the benefit to allowing them to fill in this portion of the wetlands in the back as an offset we're going to have them place permanent markers in the field around the rest of the wetlands in the back so that they are more clearly delineated and so that they're better protected in the future as well. So that's the trade-off. It allows them a safer access to the back of their yards themselves. And then it also puts greater emphasis on protecting the rest of that system.
Okay, very good. And I remember at the site walk, we gave John and Isabel the to approve it on their own if once they got together and talked about it. So did you get
So
together?
we did talk about it. I offered to do an administrative approval for them to
Great.
start the process, get the silt fence up and start removing the stumps. But I think with everything else going on, that never got going. I didn't receive an application for them for that. So I think it just made more sense to them to wait for the full commission approval.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay.
No, and I think I do have a summary ruling prepared that I believe was sent in a supplementary email, so it's not in the regular meeting packet.
Okay. We have any questions at all for Isabel or John on that one? I remember we did not think that the wetlands were too severe. From my understanding, they were very, it was hard to tell that there was wetlands there at one point. Okay. So we can wait on that one.
Well, we do have a summary ruling prepared, John.
Oh, we do. Okay. Somebody
I can
want to
bring
read?
that up online if you'd like.
Okay.
Hold on just a second. And
Oh, here it is.
okay, here we go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, very good. Somebody want to read that for us, please?
God, I can't see it.
Can everybody see it okay?
I just have bad eyes.
Yeah, that's better. It's
Okay.
large enough now to see. Okay. Tom, do you want to read it for us, please?
Sure. Summary ruling and permit approval with conditions as provided for Connecticut General Statutes sections 22A-36 and 22A-45 as amended in accordance with sections 7.1, 8.1, and 9.1 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Regulations. I move the application IWWC 2122-09 as described below be approved and a permit be granted with the conditions listed below because all prudent and feasible measures have been taken to minimize the impact on the wetlands and no feasible improvement alternative exists. The short-term impacts have been addressed by the applicant's plan and should be sufficient to provide, to protect the resource provided the plan is implemented as designed. The long-term impacts to the resource have been mitigated to the fullest extent. The above is contingent on the proper implementation of the plan and adherence to the conditions of the permit. Applicant Manuel Carrera, 8 Baker Hill Road, Columbia, Connecticut. Property is owned by Manuel Carrera. Maps dated April 3rd, 2020 and received on September 29th, 2021 for a fee of $360 has been paid. For proposed activity, construct a single-family dwelling at 8 Baker Hill Road, including well, septic, lawn within 100 foot of wetlands to fill 400 square feet of the wetlands. Want me to read everything, John, or what?
Um, no, are these,
Most of them are, I believe are the same, right, Isabel? And then six,
Yes, I believe the first several
Yeah,
are fairly boilerplate. I'm trying to pull it up, I'm sorry. The first
oh,
5
yeah,
are,
why
I
don't you read
believe.
the whole,
Read the whole thing?
yeah, go ahead.
All right, the granting of the permit does not relieve the applicant from obtaining additional permits and approvals required by other agencies, federal, state, and local. Number two, if an approval is granted by another agency and contains conditions affecting the wetlands and/or watercourses in the area 100 feet from the flag boundaries or within 200 feet of the 10-mile river, not addressed by this permit, the applicant must resubmit the application for further consideration by the Inland Wetlands Commission for a decision before work on the activity is to take place. Number three, the duration of this permit is for 5 years unless extended by this agency and shall expire upon completion of the activity approved therein. Number four, the applicant shall not assign or transfer this permit or any other part thereof without the written permission of the agency. 5, all activity for the prevention of soil erosion control, such as installation of silt fence, hay bales, and other necessary or required measures shall be under the direct supervision of a certified engineer or the discretion of the IWWC agent, the homeowner or contractor who shall employ the best management practices consistent with the terms and conditions of this permit. Control stormwater discharges, prevent erosion and sedimentation, and otherwise prevent pollution of the wetlands and watercourses. Number 6, special consideration is to be given to the 10-mile river, which is designated under section 1.6 of Columbia Inland Wetlands regulations as area of special concern. The property line to the east is within 30 feet of the 10-mile river, and any material that leaves this site will end up in the watercourse. As such, this area should be afforded the greatest protection. The wetlands agent is to be notified of pre-construction meetings with the contractor and property owner prior to start of work. The intention of the meeting is to discuss the construction sequence, the proposed E&S measures required or necessary to protect the resource and stabilization of the site maintained during and immediately following the construction. Number 8, finalize schedule for construction activities, including start and completion dates, sequence of construction activities, stabilization of the site, and final plan to be approved by wetlands agent prior to start of work. Number 9, construction sequence and methods, including the access and stockpiling to be provided by the contractor and approved by the wetlands agent. Number 10, construction apron to be installed before work begins. Use of fabric under the stone of the construction entrance is required, and the road to be kept free of soil and debris. Number 11, erosion sedimentation control measures will be installed prior to construction to include silt fence surrounding the protected wetlands and or as further required by commission and or as agent as the site, as conditions dictate. Number 12, additional control measures will be installed during the construction period if necessary or required. Number 13, Manuel Carrera is assigned the responsibility of implementing this erosion sedimentation control plan. The responsibility includes the installation of the maintenance of the control measures, informing all parties engaged in the construction of the site and the requirement and objectives of the plan, notifying the Wetlands Commission of Office of the transfer of this responsibility and conveying a copy of the erosion sedimentation control plan if the title of the land is transferred. Number 14, maintenance practices necessary to ensure proper functioning of the erosion sedimentation measure, routine monitoring and removal of sediment and repairs if necessary, controls to be monitored prior to forecasted rain events and other forecasted rain events of 3/4 of an inch or greater. 15, all disturbed areas above wetlands to receive straw matting or equal diversion measures to remain in place until site is stabilized and approved by the town. Number 16, temporary flags and fence shall be used during construction, provide a clear designation of wetlands to be preserved on the site. 17, temporary wetland flags to be replaced with permanent markers to be approved by the wetlands agent, and construction is after construction is completed prior to the issuance of certificate of compliance required to receive a CO. 18, grading and septic to be completed between the months of April and September so that the site may be stabilized shortly thereafter. Number 19, all disturbed soils shall be stockpiled, and all stockpiles surrounded by a lower side with fence. 20, either the first half inch from the roof must be infiltrated, or the roof drain must outlet at least 50 feet from the wetlands into a stoned area to prevent erosion. Number 21, an additional fee of 6 inspections at $35 to be paid prior to the start of work in accordance with section 19.5 of the commission regulations. This is in addition to the application fee. Any portion of this fee not utilized shall be returned. I so make the motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate that. Okay, we have a motion. Are there any, before we vote on that, is there any questions on anything? Okay, if not, do I have a second to approve the motion? Somebody want a second?
Mary did.
Happy to.
Mary? Okay, thank you, Mary. All in favor, raise your hands. Okay, so moved. Thank you. Okay, is Jim there yet?
No, he is not. No.
No, he's got a little bit of time left, I guess.
He said
Why don't we-
7:30, I believe, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, why don't we skip that, he will be the last one under old business. New business, we want to go into new business. Okay, let's go under item 6.1, receive the application of Michael Scalise to rebuild the lake wall and replace a portion of existing dock at 14 Lakeview Park West, Assessor's Map 0138, Lot 071 in the LAR zone. You want to give us a little background on that, Isabel
Yeah.
or John?
So the location of this lake wall is fairly straightforward. It's going to be in exactly the same footprint as the current wall, which is right now in disrepair and really does need to be replaced before he starts losing property. The wall itself is fairly straight, so it's not a difficult project. And I don't have any major concerns about it. I did meet the contractor and Mr. Scalise out at his property, and we discussed it and how to keep water away from the site. And that's about it. It's pretty straightforward. I know that the contractor has done a number of other walls on the lake as well. There were, I think, a couple on Newford Lane. I'm not sure where else.
Who's the contractor, Isabel?
It is Daly.
James Gailey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
James,
John.
yeah, excuse me. James did build a dozen or so houses out in the Wellswood area back in the 90s. So he's a fairly competent contractor, as well as son, who built a couple stone walls on Newford Lane with the dad, James Sr.
Yeah, and I met James Sr. out in the field with Mr. Scalise. And we went over everything. So I think we'll schedule a site walk for this as well. in addition to Pine Street.
Okay, that will be our second. Very good.
I got-
Okay,
I'm gonna-
so we received,
Jim Blair is here, so I'll bring him in.
oh, okay, very good. Okay, so let's get on with that. Item 5.1, IWWC 2122-07, the application of Jim Blair to rebuild lake wall and replacing existing dock at 1 Beach Road, Assessors Map 013D, Lot 018 in the LAR zone. Okay. So I think we had a site walk there, and everybody knows what the location looks like and what we want to do. And you want to give us a little bit of background, either John or Isabel?
And this is for, I'm sorry, I apologize, which property with James Blair?
The 1 Beach Road.
1 Beach Road, okay.
The
So we
band,
did have a,
band, One Beach Road.
Right.
we did have a site walk there with the commission. This has been ongoing. I believe the site walk was in September. The location is incredibly steep and there isn't a lot of area to work with. So the main discussion that we've been having regarding this property was whether or not we can allow James to go out into the lake at all. This has been an ongoing conversation with Board of Selectmen, LMAC, going back and forth. I think you all got a couple emails on that, but essentially what we've discussed up to this point is that we would like to allow some amount of the lake to be retaken, if you can call it that, to minimize excavation because the area is so incredibly steep. I think we actually have a photo of it as well, just if anyone needs to refresh their memory. There isn't a lot of area to work with, and the excavation that would be involved otherwise would essentially make the project impossible. So I think that's where we stand on that. We have a good plan to direct water away from the site. The benefit is the excavation should be minimal. There's an existing maple tree that should be intact still. And I think that covers everything up to this point.
Okay. Jim, do you want to say anything?
No, I think Isabel covered it pretty good. Unless
Okay.
anybody had any specific questions. Yeah, I'm here to address any concerns that there may be, if there's any ongoing ones.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Jim? No? Okay,
Questions for Jim?
all right. Do we have a summary ruling for this?
Well, before the
yes,
summary
I do.
ruling, may I make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
Because I initiated an email, and since that email, I have spoken with Mark Walter as well as John Valenti individually.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to know from my perspective, when I joined LMAC and when I joined IWWC, to the best of my ability, my general approach is to treat any town property as if it were my own. So my question, which I'm not sure will ever and can ever be answered, understanding the ups and downs or gyrations of the lake, is if this were my property and I had a neighbor or a worker come and say, hey, I'm going to take 3 to 4 feet of your property times 30 feet, I would consider that an encroachment. And understanding, after talking to Mark and to John Valenti, my only general comment, which will be discussed at LMAC, is If this is necessary, we need to understand why, and we need to ensure we don't set a precedent of allowing encroachment on our lake bed, on our town property, without some proof of an absolute need or erosion, et cetera. So that's my general comment. I will allow now or any questions to that, but for the summary.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or anything they would like to say? Okay. I guess the Board of Selectmen had a meeting, and what their recommendation was to let Isabel and John handle this pretty much with a lot of direction, of course, and handle most of the work that the people will be doing on this. Does anybody else feel that it is an encroachment on the water, on the lake water by any chance? I wasn't sure what are we talking about as far as total area that would be affected here?
About 90 square feet, 90 to 110 square feet approximately.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And we don't do this on a regular basis, but we looked at this as a fairly unique situation. And I think we've all seen it, and we know the severe slopes, and we know that if we went in 4 feet, it would further compromise the usability of that particular property, because the development of the property is right up to the lake within 15 feet. And if you looked at that photo, Flo, do you have that photo available that I sent earlier?
Yep, hold on.
Yeah, if you look at the photo, you can see where the deck, yeah, there you go. So if you look at that, and then picture taking 3+ more feet of that shoreline, you could see where not only would the tree roots be compromised, but also it would give them very little opportunity to fall and not end up in the lake if they were to come off that deck and around and lose some footing. So we don't, this is not a common practice that we do this, but we have done it in the past for consideration, erosion, or one other time we did it was on Lakeview Park West, where the individual had lost 15 feet of shoreline. It was established and it was shown through evidence that they had lost 15 feet of their front yard, and their front yard was only 40 feet wide. So we gave them 7 feet back. They were asking for 15. So it's not a common practice, like I said, and certainly we do not do this. And Mr. Blair knows that anytime that we allow him to put in a lake wall, we end up getting more lake back than we end up giving, because lake walls don't go in straight lines. They go around curves, and so there's a little bit of give and take. But it's our job to take back as much as we can. But I can't argue with Mary that this is that it's difficult for her, who's very protective of the town property, to see her way through this. But understanding that, I think we all struggle with this, and the final tally is that we all felt that it's necessary to repair the wall to avoid future erosion, and to do so as close to the existing shoreline as possible, and not out to where the wall once was a half a century ago. So that's all I have to say.
okay. Can I ask a question? What does the landowner think?
I think Carmen Vance has been silent on this. She has not showed up to the meetings. She did not appear at the site walk. And I guess because of her prior position, she did not want to influence anybody. So that was my take on it. I didn't ask her why, but I just assumed that Carmen, being who she is and knowing her for a long time, that she did not want to impose herself on the commission to gain any favorable influence.
Okay, thank you, John. Yeah.
And if I may, I've been acting as Carmen's representative. So not only, John makes a very accurate and fair point, but also I'm the representative of the property owner on this
Right.
as the contractor.
Right. And how do you feel about it, Jim?
You know, I've worked on numerous projects here at Columbia Lake. And I feel very grateful and lucky that I'm in this place and people trust me with these sensitive projects, not only landowners, but the town of Columbia. And so I don't consider any of these decisions or the things that I ask for on my customers' behalf. I try not to be irrational and I try not to be flip about it. And I think in this particular instance, what I've said from the onset is that I'm okay with either board's decision as to which way this went. I expressed my desire, which was to meet the neighboring wall. And if we can do that and it's acceptable to everybody, it makes good sense. And if you're looking at this picture, I've done several measurements and so forth, and those junipers are planted in such a fashion that if you measure from the center of that juniper to that corner of that wall, it's about 6 feet. And if you go down the other end and you measure out to the corner of that wall that's at the Stevens property, it's about 6 feet. So those junipers aren't planted by accident there. It was done on purpose. So I don't think I'm too far afield in what I was asking for. But again, I respect this commission and the decision that will be made. I am more than happy, and I've done it before and I'll do it again, to work with John and Isabel in the field to help determine what is best for the town of Columbia and which is acceptable to satisfy this particular site, which again, that's a pretty old tree. And I've done a lot of these things and we're digging around these trees and, you know, you got to be careful. It's just a certain amount of time. Sometimes you're just not going to get lucky and you're going to wreck something, or that tree is going to grow back into that wall and, you know, we'll have problems there. So again, I'm being a little long-winded, but I will respect whatever the board says and I will work with John. And again, neither myself nor Carmen Vance wish to do anything to adversely affect Columbia Lake in any regard, shape, or form. This is where I live, and it, you know, my reputation and my feeling, you know, about how I'm perceived in town is way more important than a wall being 1 feet or 2 feet closer or farther away from something. That's it. That's how I feel.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
Nicely stated,
Okay.
Jim. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim, or John, on our field visit, we had asked, is there a survey that would demonstrate so everyone would feel better if there was, quote unquote, some encroachment into the lake bed? Was a survey ever produced of the
There is
property
no-
boundaries?
There's no A2 survey in her file. So, which is not uncommon. One that I've submitted, the next property I've submitted to be worked on for this year, the Halloran property there. It's the same sort of thing. That drawing's a little bit better than Carmen's, but you know, just some of these, it is what it is. And you know, there's point A and point B, and I think point A is very, very clear where point A is. It's that corner. And again, you know, I think to make everybody's life easy, let's just pick a spot and let's just get it done and it'll be fine.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, do we have a summary ruling on this, Flo?
We don't.
Oh, okay.
Uh, we do from, we had it prepared for the last meeting, but there wasn't an approval yet from Board of Selectmen. So it is available. Well, if you don't have a copy, I have a copy.
I don't.
That I sent it to you just tonight during the meeting because it occurred to me that you might not still have it
Right.
on your computer because it was from a month ago. Or I can try to screen share. It just might take me a minute to figure it out.
If you wish, I could read this.
Yes, go ahead, John.
No, I'm asking is that all right? Want me to read this, Isabel?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, I'm familiar with it. And I also do a briefer version than poor Tom had to go through. And so everybody, and Mr. Blair is very familiar with our summary ruling, and this is for his benefit. And the commission has this in front of them, or had this in front of them, but there was a fee of $360 paid. This was, the maps are dated on September 2nd. The application was received and we could act this evening, which is November 1. And the first 5 or 6 of the conditions are standard conditions. The 7th condition is that the agent is to be notified and have a pre-construction meeting with the property owner prior to the start of work. The intentions of the meeting is to discuss the construction sequence, the proposed DNS measures required and necessary to protect the resource, and stabilization of the site to be maintained during and immediately following construction. The finalized schedule for the wall construction activities to include start and completion dates that to be provided by Mr. Blair. The sequence of the construction activities, stabilization of the site, final plan to be approved by the wetlands agent prior to the start of work. There's some conditions here that require Mr. Blair to further provide information on the plan, such as the starter date and such, and the location of the triangulation stakes. Number 9, erosion and sediment control measures will be installed prior to the construction. This is to include silt fence below the wall, diversion of the roof drain, and silt fence below the deck and above the access road. If everyone's forgotten, Mr. Blair is going to construct an access road. What he does is he lays down a geotextile fabric and then brings in gravel. Then his machine rides on top of that. When he's finished, he removes the gravel, and now he has the geotextile fabric to remove the rest of the material. So you end up with some flattened lawn. If he moves quickly, he has lawn. If he doesn't, then he has to reseed it. But it's an acceptable and approved measure for accessing a site without creating a lot of soil disturbance. Additional control measures will be installed during construction period if necessary or required. James Blair is assigned the responsibility for implementing the erosion and sediment control plan. This responsibility includes the installation and maintenance of the control measures, informing all parties engaged on the construction site of the requirements and the objectives of the plan, notifying the Inland Wetlands Commission office of any transfer of this responsibility, and conveying a copy of the erosion and sediment control plan if the title to the land is transferred. So permits are not transferred, they have to go back before the commission. Stone and lumber could be stored on plywood placed on a top on the lake bed. Maintenance practices necessary to assure proper functioning of erosion and sediment control measures, routine monitoring and removal of sediment and repairs if necessary. Controls to be monitored prior to the forecasted rain events and after forecasted rain events of 3/4 of an inch or greater. 2 triangulation points to be set opposed to the front of the existing wall to finalize the end of wall points. That's the point of discussion here, and we want to make sure that it's in from those points. These points are to represent the finished new wall and to be set with stakes. Benchmarks are to be set in the field readily available to be transferred to the lake wall. An additional fee of $140 to be paid prior to the start of work in accordance with section 19.5 of the commission regulations, and that's for standard inspections. The construction sequence and methods of construction, including the access and stockpiling, to be provided by the contractor installing the lake wall and approved by the wetlands agent. Methods planned to be consistent with the IWWC permit and approved by the Board of Selectmen. Approval of the best management practices. After the initial meeting, the owner shall have available at the site 2 stakes with offset reference points, hay bales installed below control points, tops available for placement of the lake bottom, and covering for any stockpile. basically what we're saying is everything has to be in place during the initial inspection. All disturbed areas above the wall to be receive straw matting or equal diversion measures to be remain in place until the site is stabilized and approved by the town to have measures removed, meaning instead of just seeding it, we want straw matting because of the steep slopes and that remain, and the diversions are to remain in place until the lawn is fully established and approved by the wetlands agent. And that is it.
Okay, thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Sure, sure, sure.
Okay, so we do have a motion. Are any questions before we vote on it? If not, do I have a second?
No, John, who made the motion?
John?
No, John can't make the motion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, can somebody else make it even though John read it?
I make a motion to accept the
Okay, thank you.
summary ruling as read.
Okay, all right. And do we have a second on that now? Ron seconded it. Okay, thank you, Ron. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
One opposed, okay. So I guess it carries because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess it approved it, one declined. Okay,
Abstained.
thank you.
I abstained.
We have
Okay,
five approvals and one of.
one abstention. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So let's get back to new business. We had, let's see, we talked about Jim's other application, and we said we would have a site walk on that one, right? Item 6.2 on the agenda. And-
Yes,
Okay,
so we'll want a site walk for that, the other lake wall and the Pine Street property.
okay, very good. So we'll set that up. So we have what, 3 site walks now?
Yes.
Okay. What's a good day for going on a site walk on a Saturday about 9 o'clock?
Uh,
And
Let's see.
what's the best Saturday that everybody might be available on?
Sooner than later.
Okay, let's see if I got a calendar. I got a calendar here. Let me look. Saturday. What about? For me, it would be hard. The 11th would be hard for me. What about the 18th? Would that be too late?
Wait,
John, I think you guys switched into November. I
yeah,
think you might have been
Saturday
looking
is
at
the
October.
13th. The 13th Saturday.
Yes, the 13th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was on. Okay, yeah, the 13th. 13th would.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, 13th is okay. Yeah,
okay.
9 o'clock. Good. Okay.
And would you be at mine first? Is that what you're saying? Or
We'll have to see what's the easiest route
Flo-
to take.
Flo can email me that later or something.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, you'll let me know.
We'll let you know, Jim. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Okay.
this. Thank you, guys. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Let's see, did we receive the 6.1 application? I guess we did.
No, we don't.
Oh,
have-
no, okay, we skipped that. That's right.
We skipped it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's receive that application of Michael Scalise to rebuild the lake wall and replace a portion of existing dock at 14 Lakeview Park West, Assessor's Map 0138, Lot 071 in the LAR zone. So we have a motion to approve the application.
I'll second.
Okay, very good. And who made the motion?
Who made the?
Oh, I'll motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all set, good. And we haven't received Jim's application yet, have we? I
We have
guess that
not.
should be done. Okay. So do we have a motion to receive Jim Blair's application at 132 Route 80, 132A Route 87?
The
Okay.
Halloran's, yeah.
And second, okay, Mary made it, and who seconds it? Ron, okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved, thank you. Okay, good. All right, so we got through this whole thing. So the next item on the agenda is the special meeting minutes. Item 7.1, the regular meeting minutes of October 4th, 2021. Have a motion to accept those minutes?
See them.
Okay, Chip. And second on that,
Ian,
Ian. Very good. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. So moved. Okay. And the second one was a special meeting minutes of October 9th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve that? Accept that application. Okay, Ron, and second,
was that Ian? Oh, Tom.
Um,
Oh, Tom, wait, you weren't there, right?
Right.
On October 9th.
October 9th, yeah.
So we need another second.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ian,
Okay, Ian, we'll second that one. All right. Anybody have anything they want to say, audience or citizens? No, nobody is here to talk. So what about anybody on the commission? Do they want to mention anything or say anything? If not,
So I have a question to what Mary brought up earlier about the encroachment.
sure, okay.
Is,
Yeah.
do you know if the town has surveyed, like it's town property? I'm sure the town has surveyed, Rec Park, all their other properties. Does the town have a survey of the lake? Like a meets and bounds survey?
Wow, good question.
Because I mean, I know it would be a moment in time today, and the value may not necessarily be seen as being able to look back 20 years, but in the future, in 50 years, we at least know as of November 1st, 2021, this was the property. And I'm just wondering if that would help, maybe not necessarily us or we on the commission, but the future commission, to be able to say, it's being taken, it's not being taken. And for whatever reasons, I just don't know if that's something that the town might want to contemplate surveying.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, it wouldn't necessarily have to be topography. It's just really a meets and bounds, which given the size of it, it's a big meets and bounds, but.
It's something we should bring up at LMAC also.
Well,
Yeah,
it should
I
have
think
been
it's
done
good
when the
point.
land was purchased, what, 1936?
Ah,
All of that stuff should have been done at that time, and even in those days, I would think they would have done it. So I think somebody has to go back and look at the deed. That was from American Thread, wasn't it, or the Forerunner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that we purchased it from?
I believe so.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the history way back then, but the town hall.
Back then, that's not so long
Oh,
ago.
excuse me, sorry. I was
John
I was gonna say.
John and I were alive then.
I was gonna say, Ian's talking about the future. I'm like, well, Ian, you're gonna be on the committee for another 50 years. Don't worry about it. You're a youngster. Oh, my goodness. Let
I'm being
me,
selfish.
Seriously, there should be some kind of a survey map of pretty good order.
I'm not sure, right?
And if it's just, a verbal description, it might be worthwhile to consider documenting what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it should be
Good
more
point.
than verbal, but
I mean, I know probably surveys are one of those things that you put in front of the town and it's gonna have a big dollar price tag to it, and the town may not necessarily see that value up front.
Hmm.
that's true too. But it wouldn't be hard to, next time into the town hall to ask Jen LaVoy or
Right.
Mark Walter,
Mark Walters.
what do we have?
Right.
And what does exist, and or do we need more?
Yeah.
Good point. I'm happy to do that this month before I get really busy,
Okay,
and I'll report back.
that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Ian. Okay, anybody else have anything? If not, do we have any communications or correspondence that we would like to talk about? Isabel, do we have any administrative
Yeah,
approvals on it?
so there was one this month on Route 246, Route 66 at the Frontier Building. I went out with John right before he left, actually, and we looked at the area. We augured a little bit, and we determined that the property adjacent to the site is marginal to the wetlands. So I would say it's out of the wetlands, but in the upland review area. And at that location, they have an underground oil tank that they want to remove, which they have to do periodically. And they'd like to replace it with an above ground tank that makes maintenance a little bit easier. So I did an administrative approval for that with John's
Very good. Okay,
consent. He still needs to sign off on those until he gets the course up.
very good. Anything else?
That was it for administrative approval.
Okay. All right, I guess we're ready to quit.
Sounds good.
Got a motion for that, I'll bet.
Yeah. So do we have a motion to adjourn? Ian did. And second, who's gonna second that? Ron.
All right.
All in favor? All right.
Here.
Okay, have a
Good
good,
night, everyone.
yeah,
Thank you.
good night.
Everybody.
take care.
Thanks for
Take
coming
care.
out. I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
John.
Very good. Okay, bye-bye.
Good night, guys.
Seniors will be able to
Good night, everyone.
Hold on a minute, Isabel. Hey, it's just the three of us. And I'll